In the last 10 years, BJP has spent 8,000 crores of taxpayers' money in its government ads that have eulogized its leaders. This is purely appeasement of the media. And no media ever ran a campaign to stop government ads. In the last 3 years, Kejriwal government that was castigated by the Delhi High Court for all the Delhi hospitals that it runs had only 6 CAT scan machines. And one patient died because he could not get the CAT scan. Kejriwal government spent 1100 crores in the last 3 years. There has been a 4,200% increase in the ad spend of Kejriwal government in the last 10 years. People don't even realize this. Citizens don't realize this. Every time you open a newspaper, you're being bribed. Media is being bribed by the government. The government is saying, if you don't publish the news we want you to publish, or if you publish the news we don't want you to publish, we're gonna, stop this tap. So that is freebie. Now let me come to the bigger, more dangerous freebies. You touched upon it briefly, which is the old pension scheme. Another celebrated economist in 2022, Rahul Gandhi, said to Himachal, if you vote for me, I will jump the scheme that my own party brought and I will revert to the old pension scheme. There are 1.3 lakh pensioners in Himachal, 1.6 lakh government employees in Himachal. Congress won. And as a result, more than 80%, 77% of Himachal Pradesh's tax revenue is going in funding the old pension scheme. RBI says 5 times more money is required. Montek Singh Ahluwalia went public, the congressman. He said, Himachal, this is the biggest revdi, he said, freebie. Himachal will go bankrupt. And right now, the Chief Minister of Himachal has said every MLA is going to forsake 2 months of salary because we are 95,000 crores in debt. Who cares? As a result, you had AAP in Punjab reverting to old pension scheme. Chhattisgarh, which is now under BJP, continues to be under old pension scheme. This is a virus that has caught on. Who is going to hold the can at the end of it? Freebie of all. And every party is culpable, and this is the most dangerous thing. Nobody has the guts to pell the cat, which is the minimum support price, the MSP, minimum support price. No action will dare be taken by the BJP or any other party to completely remove the MSP. Faulty MSP pricing, including faulty produce pricing, there's a ICAIR report. Farmers have lost 45 lakh crores in the last 16 years. 62% of the farmers polled said, we want to set our own price because MSP price is faulty. Nobody wants the MSP, and yet we keep on giving the MSP. Haryana, when Rahul Gandhi said, let's not, let's give the guarantee, MSP guarantee, BJP said it's going to bankrupt. Now Haryana elections approaching. BJP has done exactly that. It has promised every agricultural produce in Haryana an MSP. Who cares? I talked about 95,000 crores as the debt of Himachal Pradesh. BJP criticized Rahul Gandhi's Khatakat scheme where 1 lakh to every woman. BJP has already implemented a scheme where all eligible Maharashtrian women aged 21 to 60 are being given 1,500 rupees per month. It's costing 55,000 crores to Maharashtra. Exchequer. Maharashtra is under a debt of 8 lakh crores. Now the incumbent chief minister has promised, if you vote me to power, I will double it to 3,000 rupees per month. Has anyone criticized it? Has the Prime Minister said this is freebie? No. The states have a cumulative debt of 75 lakh crores. We must understand we are not America that has a debt of $35 trillion. We can't print money. Sooner or later somebody has to pay for it. Who will pay for it?
So I have a few things to basically put Anand's point in a larger context, which will help you appreciate the extent of the problem and why certain things exist despite overwhelming evidence. We have MSP for overwhelmingly rice and wheat. We have abundance. In fact, it's called food production index, meaning of the total amount that you consume, how much do you produce? We are at 123, which means if you consume 100, you're producing 123. So there's a lot of production. Now, what do we do with it? Which is why you are seeing the free food grain policy continue. Now, many people don't understand and they look at it disparagingly, like despite all this growth, 800 million people are getting food grains. But you know what the outcome of that is, and what is exactly happening is there is a fiscalization of the food basket. You have basically made rice and wheat literally free for a very large segment, let's say 3 quintiles, so 60% of the population. If you look at the latest data, you know what you find? On an average, even your poorest 20% people are consuming 2 kilo lesser cereals per month. So you've had a 25% reduction in actual amount of cereal they are consuming. That's counterintuitive, but you know what they are doing? The saving from cereal is directly getting channeled to 42% increase in fresh fruits. I'm talking about the poorest. 42% increase in fresh fruits, 12% increase in milk and milk product, 44% increase in eggs, fish and meat. You are seeing a revolution at your poorest segment of the society. Is that important? Yes, because it has a direct bearing on anemia. Your food diversity is expanding at your poorest segment and it's directly linked to a health outcome which is anemia, which we care about a lot. So, it's you have all this food grain, what do? Given that you have limited capacity to store. Given that people have actually stopped eating rice and wheat, they want more of everything else. Well, you just keep giving it. You give it because storage is more expensive, distribution efficient, very difficult. You give it, and people are basically, we have fiscalized the food play. That's one way to look at it. The second is on the MSP, and this is where it becomes a bit critical. We now have to change agriculture production away from cereal because people will eat less of that. But you will see political pressure on MSP on other things, right? But there is an alternate thinking, at least some of us in the profession, which is policy making and economics, meaning empirical. A much better way of supporting farmers is through giving a fixed income, meaning based on your land holding, it is totally dissociated from what you produce. So there's no procurement. You're basically saying the minimum you will give a certain amount of income which is pegged to your land holding. So you're not distorting the market by saying I will give you money for wheat, so you will only grow wheat. But I have a millet mission. I basically want you to grow millet, but the MSP is linked to rice and wheat. So there is a distortion inbuilt in the way we are incentivizing farmers. Now, US, China, these are the main economies we must even compare ourselves with because no other economy is so complex and large as these three, like Brazil to some extent. These are economies where farmers, they've had similar problems, but they have dissociated production from income support. So now we will have to gradually move towards that. Again, it's not going to be an easy conversation because policy making seldom is being also communicated to people at large to say this is the thinking, this is the future. That is why the hold-up problem that he alluded to happens. Why is it that 84% of your farmers actually supported the farm laws, but when we decided to back up because, and this is a very important thing to appreciate, a large country so diverse in the current times, I think there is some weightage you have to put to maintaining law and order, to maintaining a certain social order, because, and I'm not saying this that the state is not capable, I think sometimes state capacity is like we could have banned the Kumbh during pandemic, banned the Kumbh. Do you think it was ever going to be feasible to ban the Kumbh? So please be also, realistic about what is your state capacity to do certain things. You saw the cops falling off red fort. बेचारे वो क्या there is a certain the state capacity is there, but the way we deal with a lot of these problems cannot be so heavy handed because it's just not going to get done. Now when the farm laws didn't go through, many of us were dismayed. Okay, we felt quite bad because 40 years of evidence has told you to bahut acha law hai. 86% of farmers across the country said yes we want it, and yet you backed off because you find a alternate way to get things done. I think policy making is a lot about pragmatism and also maintaining that balance to some extent.
Can I give two rebuttals to wonderful points that Shamika brought in? Yes, the state has a monopoly of violence, and only the state must. But to say that the state, either the hands are tied or it's not capable of acting to control violence, I don't think that's true. I think it is sometimes the state, because of its own ulterior motives to placate vote banks, doesn't want to take action. So the 400 policemen that Shamika rightly talked of fell from the Red Fort when the farmers barged in and changed the flag. And most of the cases against them were taken back by the government to placate these farmers. And what I would say, many of them were Khalistani elements. So the state did that. On the other hand, when you had a potential for mass violence, which was the abrogation of 370 on 5th August, the state handled it magnificently. So when the state wants, the state can act. It is upon the state. The second point, Shamika, are you saying that we need to keep on continue to grow more and more wheat and rice so that because we can't store it, let's give away 60 million of the extra produce as free, but let's not call it freebie. Yes, if you're saying let's do that, I'm fine by that. I'm honestly am. Although it's very troubling because economically there is another dimension to it that doesn't make sense at all. But more worryingly is the environmental cost. And I'll explain it to you how it's not just troubling to citizens economically, it's actually killing us. We don't even realize it. I'll explain to you how in under a minute. Leave aside the economics of growing 100 million tons more than what you can store or what you can want. That's another matter altogether. The point is, we don't have enough water to grow wheat and rice to the extent to which we are growing, number one. And MSP has shown that if the government wants you to produce only two crops, you are going to produce only those two crops because it's like a sarkari job. The government is paying for it. You will keep on producing that. And as a result, what happened was that most of Punjab and Haryana started growing only rice. And they started depleting at an alarming rate the groundwater. So a law was brought in by Punjab government and Haryana government that you will only sow rice. The season of rice has to be delayed to be in concert with the monsoon. And what happened was when the rice paddy season was delayed, the harvesting season was also delayed, and it coincided with the onset of winter, which is right about now. And what is going to happen now is that every day 17,000 square kilometers of Punjab and Haryana farmland will be on fire every day for a month. An area the size of 12 Delhis is going to be on fire right next to Delhi. 35 million tons of stubble is going to be burnt. When you talk of forget about the environmental cost, it is going to produce 149 million tons of carbon dioxide. The total carbon dioxide production of all Indian transport is only 270 million tons. But the fact is the cost for treating respiratory diseases because of side stubble burning is going to be 150 times more than the cost that it requires to buy happy cedar machines so that not to burn the rice stubble. This is what I'm trying to say. So one thing has a cascading domino effect to completely not just destroy the economy, but destroy the health of the country as well.
I want to just make one statement on MSP. Actually, I'm sorry.
I'm a layman, so
MSP, there is something more happening, and I'm wearing a researcher hat. I do not, though I'm a full-time government employee, but I also have the freedom as a researcher to say, MSP sets the price. It doesn't guarantee how much it's going to buy. If your country is now stopping to consume rice and wheat, it's a matter of time. You will have to stop. And on Himachal, there is a very nice natural experiment. Himachal is doing all of these things. Himachal and Uttarakhand had similar per capita GDP 20 years back. Guess now? It's a good natural experiment. That's all small states border. Today, Uttarakhand is 3 times richer, 3 times per capita. So, it's like Punjab. Haryanvis are 1.5 times richer than Punjabis today. I think the outcome is there. People are realizing it, the pain is there. And eventually, I think, of course, policy making has to keep up with these tensions. But I think people are also beginning to see it. In fact, Punjab, Haryana totally dehyphenated. You cannot say Punjab, Haryana in the same breath. And so, because things are happening on the ground.